Hello, this is AC Blender Tutorials, and this is the cube that we left off with last time, and we're going to be displacing it into a complex Minecraft cube. So last time we set up all of the geometry and the UV mapping, so let's just jump right into this and start doing the displacements. So first I'm going to need a texture for my displacements. So I'm going to call this texture stone displacement. This type will be an image. You could use any image that you want. I'm going to be using the one that we're already using for the texture for simplicity. I'm going to turn off interpolation, and that will make the texture crisp in render, or in the it'll make it crisp. I can show you what that does later, but it'll make it less, it won't be boxy, it'll be smooth. I'll show you. So then for the image mapping, on the edges we'll do extend. For the coordinates we use UV mapping. I'll select our UV map, and that's all there is to it here. Now we'll go to the modifiers for the object, and we will add a displacement modifier. So we'll have deform, displace. This is really messy, don't worry, we'll take care of it. So we'll select the proper texture. And the problem is that because we have those collapsed faces in our geometry, it doesn't know which direction the vertices are supposed to go. So we need to tell it which way it's going to go. First we use the UV coordinates. That looks a little bit better. We can still see they don't know which way to go. And now let's limit the direction. So let's start with just the Z direction, so we can see that all the displacements are only going in the Z direction. So the top looks alright, the bottom is inverted, but we'll fix all of this. So let's select the Z plus vertex group to limit the displacement just to that direction. Also, let me change the shading. I'll turn on ambient occlusion, and that will help us see what's going on. So now we can see the texture applied. Now let me stop and show you what happens if the interpolation is on. So with the interpolation, you can see it smooths it out. We don't want that. I guess maybe you'd want that, but we don't, so we're turning it off. And then let's go back to here. Before I go further, let me adjust the settings for this. So let me turn on show draw all wires. Okay. So here's where it should be, is this at this line. I want to move my mid-level up so that I don't have anything extending into the surface of the cube, because that will mess up our geometry. So about right there should be okay. And now I'm going to adjust our strength to scale it down, because right now we have a large amount of displacement. I don't want that. So we can see this is where the top of the meter is. So I'm going to bring this down until it's less than our pixel cube size here. So I'm going to bring it down to 0.18, and that looks about right. And now what I'm going to do is go on to the other sides. Let me select the UV map just to be thorough. Now I will call this one Z plus. I'll copy it. I'll call this one Z minus. This one I will apply to the, well, let me not do this Z. Let's make this the X plus. So we'll put this in the X direction, and then we'll have this apply to the X plus vertex group. Now, when I set this up, I set up the vertex groups in such a way that all of these faces were on the x plus, and all these faces were on the z plus. And we can see that that causes these beveled edges. Maybe you want these. Maybe you like it this way. You can see that it produces smooth results. Just what you want. You can see a little artifacting like around here, so it's not perfect. It's an interesting effect though. So perhaps this is something you like and you want to keep it this way. But I'm actually going to do it is a little differently though. I am going to turn off my limit selection visible, and I'm going to select all the vertices on the face, even the ones that are attached to the top, and you'll see the effect that that will give. So this will be for the x positive, this will be for the x minus. I don't want to select these, I want to assign. This will be for the z positive, z negative, this will be y negative, and y positive. Okay, so now you can see the differences that this has had is now we have sharp corners, and what it does is it extends these outward at 45-degree angles. So it's going to extend this outward the amount of based on the displacement texture, but it's also going to displace it upwards based on the same amount. So if you want the edges to be smooth, just smooth angular edges, then you will need to have custom textures where the adjacent faces have the same displacement value in the textures, and then that would give nice symmetric corners. But for now I think this, just the sharp corners here, I like the way that looks too, so we'll go with this one. You can do it however you want. So now I can go on and just keep setting up the displacement maps. So I will copy this one, I'll call this y positive, it's in the y direction, and I'll use the y positive vertex group. Another thing you can do when you're making this is if you're not sure what style you want, you can just store different vertex groups. You can have two versions, the y minus and y plus and so forth, so you can more easily change between the angular or the sharp edges. But again, we're just going to go with this. Okay, so that looks correct. Now what I'm going to do is create the minus parts. So copy it, do z minus. So for this one, I'll select the z minus strength of negative 0.81. Copy the x, do x minus, x direction, strength of 0, only affect the x minus face. And then the last one is y minus. So I would affect the y direction, strength of negative 0.18, y minus vertex group. And there it is, the cube is displaced. And I appreciate you watching this. In the next tutorial we'll be going over how to set up the materials on this. Alright, thank you. If you liked, please like, subscribe, share this so other people may see it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.